got my boobs chopped off October of 2024. I am currently going through radiation for breast cancer treatment, and I want to give you guys all of the tips and tricks I have for getting through a double mastectomy, the do's and the don'ts, if you will. I'm also going to be putting on my fake nails that I wear all the time, 24/7, while we do this video. So let's like a get ready nail with me. Get your nails on with Steph. So if you don't know me, my name is Steph. I'm a baby name consultant. I am a content creator, an author. I have 3 kiddos, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer on August 30th of 2024. It started off as early cancer, or DCIS. Then they found micro-invasive pieces in my breast tissue when they took out my breast tissue, and then they found 4 millimeters in my lymph node, which changed everything. And now I'm currently on a journey to do that. I was originally going to have my deep flap surgery, which is where they take your stomach fat and they put it up here. But instead, I have to focus on getting rid of cancer and starting endocrine therapy or hormone blocking drugs, thrusting myself into menopause and dealing with all of those side effects before I can even schedule. Plus, I have to wait 6 months after radiation before I can even schedule my second or reconstruction surgery. So currently I have tissue expanders in, and they feel terrible. I mean, like unrealistic. They feel like a hard rock. They're basically these pieces of plastic filled with saline. They're not pleasant, but they're not terrible. So I will be in them for about a year, and then I'm hoping to do my deep flap surgery in October of 2025. But this is for everyone who wants to know more about what it's like to go through a double mastectomy and how you can be prepared, because this is the type of video that I was looking for before my surgery. So my first do is request the earliest possible time slot for the day so that you don't have to like fast and not eat all day before your surgery. You can just wake up and get to the hospital and go through with your surgery. Plus you don't have to sit there and think about it. And because I had like 7:30 was my surgery start, I had to be there super early, like 5:30 or 6 actually, because the hospital didn't even open until 6. But it was great because then I was actually home by dinner time. I got to see my kids. I didn't get to see them go off to school, but I got to see them after the surgery. A double mastectomy is not a really long surgery, whereas like my deep flap, when you're taking fat from one part of the body and putting it in another part, that is quite a long surgery. That one will be like 12 to 14 hours. But this was what, 4 to 6 hours? I can't remember exactly. Definitely they do a couple per day. So request that first time slot so you can get it over and done with. Okay, my first don't is don't plan to leave the house for like 2 weeks post-surgery. If you can help it. I found that like right before the holiday season, the fall time of late October into early November was the perfect time to do my surgery. Now you often don't get a choice if you're going through breast cancer, but I would have missed out on more had it been summer. My kids were going to school, my husband was working from home. Like I really did nothing for 2 weeks. Now, I was supposed to keep T-Rex arms for even longer, so that means like no reaching beyond this. It was tricky. I will say that. It was tricky to not do anything, to not want to help with the dishes, but my husband was incredibly supportive and was like, don't touch anything, I'll do everything, which is a lot. But I sat in a recliner and I watched shows and I tried to get sleep, and I did a lot of sitting, and that was the best thing that I could be doing for my body. So do not schedule anything. They tell you like 4 to 6 weeks until you're fully recovered, which feels like such a long time, but it does go quickly. And definitely don't go anywhere for those first couple weeks, especially because you'll have drains in, which we will get to. Do get help with your drains. Drains are the worst. So my husband drained my bulbs of the blood and fluid, and it was so helpful. So do get help. If you have someone around that can help you, please get some help, because they are not fun. You have to like squeeze the liquid out really tightly. You have to dump them, and you just want to like, they're unpleasant. They were the worst part. I will tell you that. Pain, not as bad as the drains. And I say get help because, especially at the beginning, you're very out of it and you're a little bit more confused, and you're not able to do a good job, and you don't want to spill, and you don't want it to be a big mess. Like, it's definitely something that you might feel like, oh, this is gross. It doesn't matter. You need to get help, and it's okay to ask for help. Which leads me, this is another drain point, leads me to my don't. Don't wait too long to tell them if you're having pain at your drain sites. So I actually had leakage at both sides, and my skin, when I tell you, it was so raw, it was so red, it was so painful, and then they finally removed them. And I honestly should have told them sooner, because I was sitting here Googling, what does drain pain feel like, right? So don't wait too long if you feel like it's an unnecessary amount of pain. Because the problem is, I even called and I was like, well, drains are uncomfortable, right? They're painful. I should have been more clear, but you don't know what you don't know. So I'm telling you, they should not be so painful that like I would move my body, and if they tugged on my skin at all, I would scream out in pain. That is not normal. Should they be a little frustrating and maybe tug at your skin and be like, oh, that's kind of uncomfortable. But at the end, I was having trouble sleeping. I had to like hold them up when I'd pee because they would kind of pull. My skin was so irritated at the spot. That was incredibly unnormal. There's actually different drains that my plastic surgeon is going to order for the next. Like after my experience of like screaming as they pulled them out, the nurse was like, yeah, I told the plastic surgeons we have to order different drains. These drains are terrible because if they're letting leakage, my skin is still kind of red from there. And I still see the holes of where I had my drains coming out. So this is your sign that yes, drains are uncomfortable. They're probably the worst part of a double mastectomy and all of these surgeries for me, but they should not be so debilitating. You should not be crying because of the pain. If it's that bad, please ask somebody about it, okay? Ooh, do practice sleeping in a recliner or sleeping sitting up a little bit, sleeping on your back if you can. If that's not something you're used to, if you're a huge side sleeper, I would definitely get some practice with sleeping in different ways, because you cannot lay down with these drains. Plus they don't want you with your like incisions at your chest. You're not supposed to lay fully flat. So a lot of people get like wedge pillows on their bed. I actually used my grandmother's reclining chair, which was amazing. And I slept pretty well in that. I could even kind of turn my body to the side for a little bit more comfort as I got more healed. But at first, you literally are gonna be so tired. You're just gonna wanna pass out. And you don't want to stress about it, because I know some people feel like for me, I won't sleep if I'm worried about my drains tugging or spilling in bed. I won't even sleep. So I knew that the recliner was the best place for me. And if it's not something that you're used to, I've also been sleeping on my back more recently, just because when I sleep on my arms, I lose the feeling in them and they get like really, what's the word? They start to like get numb and tingly. So I've been trying to sleep on my back more anyway. But if that's not something that you ever do practice it and wrap your head around the fact that you're going to want to do that for like 2 to 3 weeks after surgery. This don't is another drain related one, because again, from experience, I found that I was so desperate to get the drains out that I was really mad when I first went in and they told me they weren't ready, because I wasn't having, you need like less than 30 mLs of output per day. So that means under 15 when you do your morning drain empty and your evening one. And I was so upset because I had this big timeline. I was like, well, it's almost 2 weeks. I should be done. Like that's what people do. But everybody's different. Repeat after me. Everybody's different. Some people, they have one side in for 3 to 4 weeks and then they have one side in for a week. Some people, they both come out at 2 weeks. Like that could be the standard, but that's not everyone. I had to wait 2.5 weeks and I was barely at the number, but because I was in so much pain, she took pity on me because we were going into a weekend. Because you don't want too much liquid, because then your body can't figure out where to get rid of that like extra liquid, and then you can get really swollen. And I was pretty swollen after my drains were out. The drains are such an amazing invention for helping people heal after surgeries, but they're such a nuisance. So don't give yourself a timeline, even though you go online and you're like, how long did you have your drains? Which fine, ask people. But remember that everybody is different. Everybody takes a different amount of time to get their body to produce less fluids after a surgery. And it's not bad if you have to have your drains longer, unless of course you're in pain like I was, then you speak up. All right, my next do is kind of a sentimental one. Do find a keepsake or buy a keepsake of your breasts. This was really important to me. I've shared this before, but I got a sculpture made, and this is really special to me. It sits at my desk, okay? I'm really happy with it. It's from an Etsy shop, Femininity, and you get to pick the color on the back, and I picked pink for breast cancer. And this was really important to me that I have that sort of keepsake, that I know what my breasts look like. And of course I took some photos too, but this is just a subtle way to like have it be ever present. Like you could do a cast. I personally didn't want something that big. You could just get someone to do a beautiful drawing. You could just frame a photo. You could make a little album, you know, for you and your partner, or just for you, honestly. So here's the thing. Don't let the do and don't go together. Do have a keepsake to remember your breast tissue. Don't attach your femininity to your breasts if you can. Your femininity can come from so many things. It comes from your personality, from the rest of your body appearance and shape, from like, there's just so many ways to be feminine, to present as feminine. It's hard because a lot of times you also lose your hair when you're going through breast cancer treatments. And for me, like losing my nipples was a stressful part of it. I miss them. I feel very, I feel very blah, very babyish. I feel weird with just like these, I feel very medical. Does that make sense? With these like incisions across my chest instead of where a nipple should be. So I just recommend, I'm so glad I did this. Like almost immediately I was like, I know me and I know I'm gonna want something. And even if you're a more modest or private person, do it for yourself. You will not regret having something from your former body, because not only do you feel like your life completely changes when you get breast cancer, which fair, it does, but like your body changes, your life, your sense of security about the world, all of that is going to be so different. So to have a remembrance, to have something to look on that symbolizes your other body, your earlier body, it's such an important thing. You are more than your breasts. So, okay, the next do is take a walk every day if you can. So I had trouble, like it's hard to fall asleep when you literally do nothing but sit in a chair and watch TV all day, or, scroll on your phone, whatever. I think I pushed it a little bit at some point because thankfully it wasn't as cold as it is now. I'm filming this and it's like feels like negative 20 here in Minnesota. But you want to get your body moving a little bit. And because it wasn't my deep flap surgery where there was nothing surgical below my chest, so I was able to walk. And I think that was really helpful. Like I'd just walk around the block and then you'd add a little bit every day. Now you have to keep your arms in and you have to be careful because too much movement will add more liquid to your drains and then it takes longer to get them out. But I found getting up and moving, like I had a really good recovery. My pain was very, very minimal. And the biggest issue was the drains for me. And so I think part of it is like not becoming too sedentary after surgery and really just doing what I can and resting more than you think you need. Does that make sense? So anyway, do go on walks. Okay, so then the don't is, don't forget to take your medicine regularly around the clock. Like set a timer. My husband had a timer on his phone and he'd be like, okay, it's time for your ibuprofen. It's time for your Tylenol. You don't want to miss those. Now, I only took one oxycodone, I think. I didn't really need the heavier drugs because of the surgery site was so numb, especially the first few days after you have the surgery. And so for me, it was just keeping up on my ibuprofen and Tylenol. I did end up asking for a drug to help me sleep, like something that helped me kind of relax. It was like an anti-itch pain med, but also had something like kind of, I don't know what it has in it. And I'm not going to tell you what it's called because I don't know. It was a really good drug that like made me drowsy and took the edge off of any anxiety I had falling asleep. And that was really helpful. It took about 45 minutes to kick in. So I tried to take it, about an hour or so before I wanted to go to bed. And that was really helpful. But staying on top of your meds, don't skip a med, especially if you're in the first couple weeks. Don't be skipping your meds. You will regret that because it will catch up with you. And the soreness and the fatigue really will drain you. So it's good to be staying on those meds that you can take, like alternating that Tylenol and ibuprofen so that your body is not struggling. If you're like, wow, why am I struggling today? Did you take your med? Did you keep up on your meds? And then eventually you will wean off of them, I promise. So don't stress about that. Take them as directed so that you can stay on top of the pain so that you don't ever have to be like, this is awful, right? This is a clothing related one. Do purchase loose clothing that zip up and button up. That is imperative. Nothing's going over your head. You're not supposed to reach your arms over. You're not going to want to. But don't purchase expensive bras that have like the snaps in front, or that will be a compression bra. I found just using the wrap, like the gauze and the bandage that they sent home with some like padding was fine. We basically would rewrap me after my showers. They also sent home this like belt that I was able to put my drains in these little pockets. So I didn't actually use the pockets of my, zip up hoodies that I had purchased. I used them for the tubing of the drains. So the drains were fine in there, but because you've got to be very careful, if you take off your hoodie and it's like attached, you have to be so careful. The drains, the carefulness of having drains in is honestly, it's such a pain in the butt, but it's a necessity and it's very helpful. So yes, I spent way too much money in these like nude and a black bra. They're probably in a video about when I was prepping, and I think those were a waste of money. So I just found I wanted to have different zip ups or button ups that I could put on over my wrap, because I didn't wear a bra. And then eventually you don't really need a bra, and you're gonna wanna wait and see what your size ends up being after you fill up your tissue expanders or you have your reconstruction. Don't spend money on bras until you're at the end of this process. One final don't refuse help. Just don't do it. If people want to bring you a meal, great, but leave it on the front step. I'm not up to talking to people most of the time when I'm post-surgery and my hair is a mess and I don't have makeup on and I just feel blah. But if someone's like, yeah, I'm going to help you with this, or my aunts paid for my house to get cleaned, which was so sweet, or my parents watched my kids so much, we did a meal train. Say yes to help, also because people really want to help you and they feel like they can do something. And it's one of those things where if you actually need the help, why would you say no? Like, take the help. It's really important that you are resting and that your partner is taking care of the people in the home. So if somebody can help with the other stuff, let them do it. Well, I think we figured out that I'm kind of bad at talking while putting my nails on because I'm still putting on the last nail. These are Kiss brand. I get asked about them a lot, and I buy the Color FX style because they stay on longest. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that if you're going through a double mastectomy, that it goes smoothly for you. This is hard. I hope that you know you are stronger than you think, and that you can handle going through a double mastectomy. Even if you're really scared and you've never had a big surgery, I promise you that you can do it. And I promise you that you will come out on the other side and you will be able to heal. It's just not a fun thing to go through. And it's really hard to be like, you got this. You do got it. But you also can be super mad about it. And you can be super pissed off that you even have to go this route and that you have to lose your breasts. So be mad, but know that you can conquer this and that you can get past it, okay? All right, well, thanks for watching this video. Whether you're gonna get a double mastectomy or not, I appreciate you being here. Subscribe to my channel for more baby name content, breast cancer content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.